work. The law states when it should be prepared, presented, go through FEC, and then go to the parliament. All the processes are well laid out. Even the fiscal strategy paper from all the departments are supposed to be harmonized. It's left for me and you to know whether it's being complied. Even the MTEV, which is the paper presenter, all we talk about is fiscal responsibility. We always refer to that law, that act. That act is a stillborn. It has no one single sanction. Even the rules that we've tried to derive about, I'm hearing that CB issues.
Terrible condition of legal drafting or legislation that it creates offenses and no sanction, incomplete legislation, and legislation not based on good understanding of social science in terms of behavior. The second point is common war, misalignment of fiscal regimes or other regimes with constitutional sovereign nature. You see, the fact that we make laws federalizing prudence or actions that are going to lead to fiscal prudence, but that federalization runs against the war of sovereignty in terms of states. So there's no compelling power to get them to perform transformation. Knows at the heart of it is norms, conventions, professionalism. I remember one of my professors, Attorney Kroman at Yale there, they talked about the legal profession as statesmanship. And of course, accountants at the last convention, I was not a keynote speaker, we talked about a keynote speaker to your convention, and it was critical, you see, well-organized profession. So the question I have to ask you, the president of ICANN, a well-respected institution, is that as a chief executive, I knew that we have to rely on account, and that's why the law says after your own house. The question I ask is there, and someone has mentioned about, I think the chairman has mentioned about Pricewaterhouse, I guess, Ernst & Young's. Ernst & Young's is one of the top 5, if I would say, in this industry. So how come accountants whose job, seen from the public value perspective, is to aid some of these audited accounts? And what does the profession, how do you ensure that those public service component goes into promoting fiscal responsibility in the sense we're discussing today? And maybe you can also talk about maybe difficulties as a profession you see with the practice in the public sector.
Thank you, the moderator. That's a good question. In every financial scandal, people point accusing fingers to the auditors, but that is not the case. Auditors, we deal with evidential document. If a transaction is not recorded, there's no way auditors will detect, because the vouchers or papers or approval supporting the transactions is clean or clear, but underneath there is fraudulent intention. Auditors is not reading people's mind. If the process said that for a certain level of transactions, the chief executive must approve, and you validly see the approval of the chief executives, and the money is released for that purpose that the documents say it is small, and maybe through procurement there is diversion, there is no way auditors will do that, because we are not doing value for money audit. We are doing transaction audit to show that the record represents true and fair view of the entity. Now, what we do as institute, we have disciplinary process, whereby if the auditor is found to be complacent or he did not follow the audit procedure, or there is concealment or connivance, and we get to know, you face the panel, and if it requires recovery, you will be charged for recovery. And you are all aware that Senate committee is now investigating the account of NNPC. We have our auditors that audited that account. We have written to them to come and explain to us what really happened so that we can also take disciplinary measure against them. We will not wait for petition because it's in the public domain. And the Institute is going to deal with it and will collaborate with the Public Committee of the Senate to ensure that if per chance auditors are found culprit, they will be sanctioned appropriately. But where the transactions is neatly recorded, everything, the records show that yes, it is correct. The auditor will only certify it. What happened behind the figures is not going to be the fiduciary duty of the auditors. Yes, we have public interest mandate to ensure that accountability is enshrined in our work. And to that extent, we will ensure that our practice holders comply with international audit practice. Where they did not comply, we will now sanction them, and also it can lead it to even removal from the list or withdrawal of license. In the past, even to the extent of even the past president was charged to court. The Institute investigated the matter, and we took our own disciplinary measure and now ask the law enforcement agents to continue. So it's not that we condone that, but what I want us to understand that auditors' work is based on the available documents to show that the due process has been something like that. All we look at is the document. Does it comply with the rules? Yes. And then we'll pass it. But if it doesn't, and we suspect anything, we should be able to report. And that's why we have what we call management letter that go with the financial statement. The management letter will show the level of infractions and also recommendations.
Thank you so much. I think I will make a detour from the agencies. I will continue with the institutions. I think we have NFIU here. But let me stay with my president, the MBA president. This is my president. Professionalizing the profession, getting back. Now, first, I would like to have your general take on how you see fiscal responsibility. But again, and I'm happy you're here, when I came back from the US, at a point I was worried. And it's important to talk about procurement. You see, fiscal responsibility is not only about auditing. Procurement, budget, procurement, and review. Those are the three major aspects. The review includes auditing and oversight. Now, in procurement, as a chief executive, you discover that oftentimes the pass you need is legal advisors' approval. Advisors or where we have power to. You say, based on so. And when you call them, it says, the legal advisor gave us advisory. There's one instance that happened, and they asked me to send to the Attorney General to advise us. I knew that the Attorney General then was implicated, had some. I told them, I said, no, under U.S. Supreme Court, Chevron against INC, the chief regulator is the first interpreter of the act. Let me go interpret the act, not the Attorney General. So my question is this: is it possible to have a law that
it makes it possible to discipline any and every lawyer who violates any of the codes of professional conduct? So if a lawyer, on account of inducement, interest, gives an advice which he knows does not represent the law because of what he stands to benefit, you can proceed against him under that. There's also civil liability, because if he was not advised, he cannot hide under the guise of, I was giving a professional advice to the best of my ability. If there was interest, there are so many provisions of our criminal laws under which such a men and women toil night and day and pass the laws. And sometimes, respectfully, some of these laws are passed in a hurry or to meet certain interest. And that is why you can have a law that, like the Fiscal Responsibility Commission Act. having penal provisions without any punishment section. So you ask yourself, didn't draftsmen work on this law? Did they not go through the 3 stages of reading in the legislature before being passed? Or was it intentionally put in there to self-abort, such that, in the words of the commission, it was a stillbirth? But we would want those other laws, if the law is not working, the other provisions of the law that can be used to strengthen the Fiscal Responsibility Commission for offenses that can be committed under those acts, and that there are penal provisions for them, punish for them. Until we do that, we continue speaking this English, losing billions of naira to people who utilize loopholes in our laws to bleed the nation dry. And then lawyers and other professionals who one way or the other are complicit in this will walk away and live in their mansions without any care about the injury they've done to the society. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, President. And the lawyers will also be flying private jets. You know, I think the key point you've made is that we have laws, but we don't seem to punish anybody. I remember as a graduate student, I wrote an article titled, "If we are fighting corruption, why are people not dying? If it's a war, there should be dead bodies." So every war gets dead bodies, but this war we fight, I don't see dead bodies. Are we using smoke gun or toy gun to fight this war? So I think that's the point the president is saying. Let there be dead bodies. That tells you you are fighting a war. Okay, so let's move to NFIU. I mean, everything we've been saying, we've not mentioned you much. But I think your role, big role to play. Again, just like every other thing, there was politics at your formation. But now, I think I see stability. The NFIU has settled down. No more debate whether it's EFCC or CBN. Everything is resolved. And you'll be doing some good work. So I would like to have your own perspective on what do you think first is driving this culture of fiscal irresponsibility, and how the NFIU and your instruments can help us control, and how you want to support in the fight to inculcate fiscal discipline.
Yeah, thank you so much for the question. I think just for your purpose of clarity, and then for the purpose of, for the benefit of some of us, let me outline the major, the mandate of the NFIU. The NFIU is the central body responsible for requesting, receiving financial information, analyzing them, and then disseminating financial intelligence to anti-corruption agency, law enforcement agencies, security agencies, and other competent authorities for the purpose of combating money laundering, terrorism financing, and then the counter, the financing of the and professional financing. What we basically do at the NFIU is we receive financial intelligence or information from reporting entities that file statutory reports to the NFIU, either in the form of a suspicious activities report, foreign currency report, or currency transaction report. And then we also